Hello everyone, my name is Darwin. I am a developer from Capgemini and I'm going to explain why it's interesting to add Jupyter inside the Decoder platform in order to give the user a valuable documentation of the project they are in. In order to start, we are going to explain what's Decoder, and Decoder it's a platform oriented to developers that give support to the developers during the design and the implementation phase of a project. In this project, there are many partners involved, for example, some government organizations, different companies, and universities. Inside this platform, we can execute some tools through the different artifacts. We can edit code from the platform, from the GUI, and also we can see the results of those tools in a friendly way to the user, in a visible way to the user, and some of the things that are coming soon. And why to add Jupyter through Decoder? Because we think that with Jupyter we can give an extra value for the user in order to see the data and in order to see the valuable results from the Decoder tools. And why Jupyter? Jupyter because this is a open source software framework that allow us to execute different services, interactive services, to compute a lot of different programming languages. We are going to use the Jupyter Lab in order to work with Jupyter, and the Jupyter Lab it's a web-based interactive development environment that are used through the notebooks, the Jupyter notebooks, where you can execute code, you can see data and configure all that user interface with the user preferences. This is used in the machine learning, and we are going to use it with Python. We will see some samples later, but you can use it with any other languages, programming languages that we have seen before here. Here we have an example of the interface of the Decoder UI, where we can see how it has been added the Jupyter notebook inside the platform. We have a section here called Jupyter, and inside here we have available all the tools available for Jupyter. First of all, once we have the notebooks available, we can obtain valuable information from Decoder for the Decoder user. That said, we will see some examples where the user can create a new notebook and can query in the database some valuable data in order to see it in a friendly way. Said that, in the future, we aiming to use also the PKM API, the Decoder API, in order to improve those notebooks and give a more detailed information for the user. In this example, we will see artifacts by project, artifacts in a project, number of artifacts, and the percentage of each type in each project. Also, it's very important to say that the user could develop any functionality they want, but in order to do that, they will have to have the rights or the permissions, the passwords, in order to execute that code. If not, due to security reasons, they will not be able to do it. So said that, let's see this. How it's integrated inside Decoder in here. First of all, we have one notebook where you can see in the title it's the artifacts by project. As you can see, in this case, the password of the database is required, so we can execute it insert the password, and once we have done that, we can execute the code. If not, the code will fail due to a login issue. Once we execute it, we can see here, sorry, but it's a little, it's so little due to my screen, but we can see here some of the artifact types of each color and the projects with the different types inside. This could be useful in some cases in order to enrich some documentations or anything that the user wants. Also, we have the artifacts available in the project. As before, we have to insert the password, but we will also have to choose between all the projects available on Decoder database. As soon as we select it, we are able to execute the code. And we can see here, for the example, for the project MyTyStar, all the artifacts and the number of each. On the other hand, we have the numbers of artifacts by project. In here, we can see a global vision from the dimensions of each project to see what is the biggest, for example, or the smallest. Here we can see that the biggest is the OpenCV with these numbers of artifacts. This is by far the biggest. And for example, in here we have a cake diagram where we can see the percentages of each artifact types. As before, we have to execute it, we have to insert the database password and select the project. And here, sorry, I have to insert it again because I mess up. And here. We can see here the percentages of each of the results stored in the database for this MyTyStar project. Said that, another interesting thing inside this framework, it's this notebook we have created, the ASDD, Accelerated Solution Design, that it's a thing that it's we are working on. It's still on development, and we can query the database in order to search some interesting topics and generate a dynamic documentation for the user that he can see in a friendly way. In this case, we can show it and display it in an HTML format or in a Markdown format. For example, in this section, we have add this text, and with this text, the user will see in the program will see in all collections and will show the results according to this text. This will be interesting in the future. By the moment, as I said, it's still on development, and as we have not too much data inside the databases, it's kind of empty by now. But we think that this live documentation will enrich the Decoder environment. Finally, we are going to show how to integrate a tool, how we can develop a tool and integrate inside this environment. By the moment, this tool is developed by a team inside Capgemini, and Ignacio will explain to you more about this tool.
Okay, welcome. We are going to show the discern tool developed by Capgemini inside of the Cover front-end application. The first thing you have to do is select a project, and then the Jupyter Notebooks button will appear here in the side left bar, and if you click there, all the environment for the Jupyter Notebooks will appear. In this case, the examples is the main example directory. if you enter the TVCNN folder, you will have this notebook, this CERN test notebook. Um, this is a demo of what can you do with the discern tool. The discern tool is mainly a neural network, a deep neural network, a convolutional neural network, and it's capable of analyzing a GitHub, for example, repository, a software project, in the search of patterns, software patterns that software design patterns. And in this case, we're going to examine this repository that has 4 Python files. If you enter one of these, you will see that it's Python code, and and the neural network is trained to detect the generator patterns in Python files. So, and after running this algorithm for the repository, the display results are going to be shown in a friendly format, HTML in this case. If you execute the cell, you will see that first the program will find a vector representation of each file of the project. In this case, 4 files. With that vector representation, they will feed the network. In this case, the results for generators are in these 3 files in blue. There are no generator patterns. We can enter one of these from here. It's the same we were showing earlier. And in this case, there are no generator patterns. In the last case, this test def count has generators in green. And if you can see, there is a yield clause here. So this function is a generator. So uh, the the framework found this pattern here. And the other use case of the discern tool is when you can upload with this button um files into this environment, this Docker image, and for example, you can upload a zip file or a folder, and the discern tool can do the same that did for the repository, can do it for the file zip file or for the folder. In this case, we have this folder. There is tvcnn test generators. Then you will find one file with no generators. There are 2 examples that doesn't have the generators, and a folder that has 2 files with generators. So if we run the example here and display the results in HTML, you will find that there are 7 files Python. There is a vector representation for each one. Um, these one are not really Python in the folder, so we can discard them. Um, the node gen have detected as node generator in the file, and with gen the 2 files that was prueba and pruebas had generators. So if you examine, for example, the test folder generators with gen, it has these 2 files, and if you open it, it has 4 functions with generators. So this finished the demo. So see you soon.